This video might get me in trouble. I just finished the first and second parts of the Godfather trilogy. Honestly, one of the most revered and infamous trilogies in all of movie cinema. I think that it was really good, but I also think that there were parts that I didn't like, and I don't think that the second movie was the best sequel I've ever seen. I have Top Gun Maverick up there, I have Kung Fu Panda 2, I have How to Train Your Dragon 2, and do I need to keep going? Probably. But I feel like this movie was honestly really entertaining for sure. It was cool to see Michael Corleone's complete character development arc while also having it compared with his father's and seeing how his father went from living in Sicily, Italy, then coming over to the US and having to establish his whole Godfather persona. It was really cool to see that. And honestly, that was my favorite part of the movie versus Michael Corleone, who was kind of running side quests, if you will. And I know the point of this was him trying to legalize his business and really keep his wife Kay, whom he promised within 5 years he would have a legalized family. But that has not happened, and that's really used to dramatize the differences between Vito and Michael. Now, this was really beautifully shot. The cinematography was great, but honestly, as far as the story, I just didn't like it as much. I wasn't nearly as interested as the first movie. I think the first movie really was the complete package. We have this invincible father figure for the whole community, the whole family, if you will, and he gets taken down, and it's up to the rest of the family members to really carry their own weight and find themselves and their own identity in this cataclysmic event in their lives. And I love how every single child played a different role within the family dynamic. You have the hard-headed, ragey child, and you also have the more relaxed one who doesn't really want to be involved. And we see Michael kind of get more and more involved and influence as time goes on, even having a stint back in Italy where his father is from. I feel like it was really beautiful how everything was tied together and wrapped up perfectly in that first movie, and honestly I said, this is great, I can't wait to see where the second one goes. But yet when we get to the second one, we do see how the power corrupts Michael slowly over time, and he gets even more hardened and isolated with a really interesting final scene that shows you he was like this the entire time, and this was who he was, which was very insightful, but there were just certain things that happened that weren't as agreeable or as interesting to me. And I can't say that I would have written a better second movie, but I think that the second movie wasn't as good as everyone's made it out to be. And maybe that's just my particular taste in movies and what I like, but I didn't feel like this second movie hit as hard as I wanted it to. And I know there is still one more movie left in the trilogy, which I definitely intend to watch, but I'm a lot more hesitant now because of how much people were hyping up this second installment, only to not leave me with the best feelings possible. And I know that this piece was more reflective and really wanted us to look introspective and see how would we react in the specific role that Michael is thrust in. And I feel like the decisions he makes at times just doesn't make sense to me, and as someone who has brothers and sisters that they're actively dealing with, I feel like it's not really a realistic scenario that would happen in real life. And I feel like it is interesting that this is how the mob was portrayed. As someone who is never involved in the mob, I don't know how things actually went down, but I doubt that any of this would happen, as family is put above everything. And so I feel like there were some logical inaccuracies which I didn't really enjoy. And as I said, it really did feel like side quests here and there, with Michael all over the place doing everything but what I thought was really necessary and really proving to his mission of legalizing the family, which he said in the first movie. And so I feel like this was kind of all over the place and didn't leave me with as beautiful and concise of a story or narrative that the first movie left me with. And although they had two powerhouse actors of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, I do feel like Robert De Niro definitely took the show away from me just because of how well he executed this older timey feel. And maybe that's because I love these older timey movie scenarios more, but I feel like there was just an element that Al Pacino was lacking in his performance. And again, I know this might get me in trouble, but I feel like I gotta say it. So please let me know down in the comments below, what are your thoughts about these trilogy? Should I watch the third movie, or is it not worth my time? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.